Hi, once again, this is Josh Massengill, um, live with Josh. Opportunities that we're looking for and different skills that are needed. Thank you for coming on, watching the different events, and thank you for everything you do for the service and the service members on active duty. So I wanted to talk about different opportunities that we do have available, and that is in need at different areas. So the different types of opportunities that I'm looking for is technical sales executive. If you have interest in doing sales and kind of cyber sales environment, please reach out to me. The other opportunities that we have will be the I have different areas in marine vessel opportunities that we're going to be discussing. I'm going to have some different guests coming on that's going to kind of go more in detail on the opportunities. So with that, I would like to go ahead and bring on Frank. Frank is the engineering program manager at Seven Eagle. Frank, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely, Josh. It's very good to be on with you. Engineering program manager from Seven Eagle, prior Navy veteran. I actually served with Josh. We went through boot camp together and we did A school together. Currently, I help with Josh with getting veterans into jobs, and we're here for you. We're here to get you into the new career and get you where you need to be.
And Frank, there's somebody else that we like to bring on, and that we like to give an opportunity, a different point of view from someone that's utilized the SKILLBRIDGE program, is a Navy veteran, and has a great story to tell. Frank, would you like to go ahead and go from here?
Absolutely. Good friend of mine, Christian McLaughlin, served with him in the U.S. Navy. We were both working on aircraft at the time. He was an electronics technician, or he were an electrician, actually. He worked on wiring systems, integrated systems, but he also crossed into the avionics side as well. He's a brilliant guy. He worked in the cybersecurity industry, and he was kind enough to join us today and provide us insights from the SKILLBRIDGE transition, as well as what he had to do to get to where he is in the industry and be successful. So why don't you bring him on, Josh?
Chris, welcome. Thank you for coming on. So one of the good things about this is you get to get different questions being asked, kind of going from there. And we'll be looking for different comments that may be going through the different storyline you may come up with. So Chris, if you wouldn't mind, just to kind of give us an introduction of yourself, let us know a little bit about your backstory, and as always, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Like Frank said, my name's Chris. I don't really need much of an introduction as far as military-wise, because he pretty much did it for me already. But I'm currently an information security professional in the InfoSec field. I feel like that kind of limits me, though, because I'm more of an IT professional. I like to tell people that instead, for people who are getting into the IT field. So currently, I just finished a tenure as a pen tester at a previous company that I worked at, and I also have some defensive experience. I've been out of the Navy since 2019, and like Josh said, when I transitioned out, the SKILLBRIDGE program was one program that I used primarily to get out of the Navy. I used SKILLBRIDGE, and I used another program called VetTech. SKILLBRIDGE at the time when I was using it was going through some changing phases. However, it allowed me about 4 months of transitionary period time before I got out of the service to work at the job that I used to work at. And it is such an invaluable tool. It allowed me to get to be marketable and competitive in a job that I was not very familiar with by the time I was out. It is an incredible tool. It was not very well known. I was the only person in my unit that had used it at the time, but since then I've had people that have contacted me about that program. Vet Tech is another program that I used when I got out. It is a fairly new resource, and that allowed me to further my skill and my knowledge to be even more competitive in the field. And it's a program that veterans are able to use who want to get into IT specifically. So yeah, that's my background mostly.
No, awesome, Chris. So so there's a question from me that kind of comes out of that. As you were transitioning out, there's different members that they're getting back into the civilian sector. Was there any obstacles maybe that you faced as you can't become back into the civilian sector that you would like to share to help ease the ones that's kind of go through it now and getting ready to make that decision as they start to transition out?
Yeah, there are a lot of obstacles. Most of them I don't think would relate to this call, but as far as job wise, one of the obstacles that I faced was making my skills marketable. And I have to say that the military does a really good job today of doing that than how they did traditionally, especially with Navy Cool, Army Cool, and MC Cool. They allow you to translate those skills over. However, the military doesn't do it the best for people who want to change out of a field that they are currently in right now to a different field. For example, I went from aviation to working IT security. I had to make the translation myself. So what you notice is a lot of these jobs that are out there, they require some level of experience. They're not willing to gamble on somebody that only has 0 years of experience in IT, but 7 years of experience in aviation. So I had to leverage a lot of those skills and experience to make myself marketable. For example, I can't really say it specifically because of
Yeah.
top secret stuff, but there were systems on the P8 that we used that I was able to market specifically towards. I was able to market that, like Linux, for example, was one that I was able to say, hey, it's used in some capacity. I use that, or hey, networking on the P8 is not any different than it is in real life. There's Ethernet cables, there's routers and switches, and so I took the skills that I had, and I was like, I just did like networking and stuff for 2 or 3 years. That is a skill. Also, everybody in the military has a security clearance. They're all in charge of guarding some type of secure asset. That is information security. So you market those skills in that way to get you those experience. And not a lot of people think about that. They're just like, oh, I'm not experienced or marketable. But if you word it a certain way, an employer is not going to go back in your military history and look and see exactly what you did. It's your responsibility to tell them what you did and to
Exactly.
make
Right.
yourself marketable.
Yeah, no, exactly. And one of the things from the aviation standpoint. So you took your aviation background, you connected the bridge over to cybersecurity, and then you was able to take that knowledge and go through and make the studies, get your certifications, um, and then get that opportunity into your first cybersecurity role. And that's exactly it. So Chris is a perfect example that from the military, from active duty service member, utilizing the skill bridge, even changing into a new industry, and obviously there's going to become different nervousness and unknowns. But Chris overcame those and still conquered and got exactly what he was looking for as opportunity wise. And that's what it's about, is getting the active duty service members and veterans opportunities that they're going to be able to utilize their skill sets and also, shine for their new team that they're going to be on. So, and talking about those opportunities and as they go through, Frank, could you go through some of the opportunities that we have available just a few off the top?
Absolutely, Josh. Right now, we have some marine service technician positions, one being a marine electrician in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, as well as we have them all over Tampa, and we have them up in New Jersey. But the big ones are right now. If you have anybody who's from Louisiana who wants to get home, I got 2 positions in New Orleans for a barge service technician. If you have any background in electrical, mechanical, if you've worked with phase motors, if you've worked with any sort of wiring jobs, or if you've worked with motors in general, you definitely have an option in that. You can easily transition. They've got a 401k. They have a lot of other benefits, and it pays up to $60,000 a year, which is a really great entry point. It does have a lot of room to growth, and they're all throughout the U.S. So if you want to try and transfer in the company, you have a pretty good opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as some of the aviation opportunities that we have, one of the opportunities that we have is C-130J experience. We're also looking for the F-16 experience from the aviation side, along with any avionics from that standpoint, any structural or sheet metal. And if you have any of those aviation experiences across the board, especially aviation maintenance, please reach out to myself and Frank, and you can reach us, from those emails, which we're getting ready to display here shortly. We have somebody that says, any South Carolina SKILLBRIDGE opportunities? Yes, there is different SKILLBRIDGE opportunities, and there is IT specifically. We are nationwide, so there is different cybersecurity and IT opportunities. Our primary focus at Seven Eagle is cybersecurity, IT, and engineering roles. So going in, doing IT, administrative, networking, implementation managers, to business analysts, to consultants. Those are opportunities that we're looking for. Those are remote opportunities. We also have opportunities as different software engineers, among others. So, good question. Is there any other opportunities, Frank, that come to your mind, or is that it now?
I think we pretty much covered the big ones. You talked about the IT procurement job.
Yep.
Yeah, we also have talked about our opportunities in the vessel industry. Yep. With the barge technician. And like I said, we have it all up and down the coast. We have it up in New York. We have it in New Jersey. We have it in Louisiana. We have it in Florida. We've got it in most places. And I don't know if we have any openings in Texas, but I think that's coming down the line. And we've also talked about all of our avionics and aviation style maintenance positions that we're looking for. Like you said, F-16s, we'll take anybody who's got that. And C-130Js, definitely need those people, my prop people. I came from the non-jet propelled side of business. So
absolutely. That's correct. And they are many opportunities that we have available that the rest of the team do actually are looking at and have. Please don't hesitate to utilize the different recruiters and client managers that are also on the leadership board that is at the Seven Eagle website. Frank, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yep.
So we have multiple different opportunities that we have. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out to me right here on the screen, Josh at seveneagle.com. You can ask me any engineering questions, any SKILLBRIDGE opportunities that you're looking for. And one of the biggest things that I want to definitely talk about is, Chris, when you first transition out, how much work did you have to put into getting that transition into the cybersecurity field. If you don't mind elaborating.
Yeah, so I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because if you're in your SkillBridge window and that's when you're debating on what you want to do, you're already behind the curve. I made the decision to get out of the military in 2017, or I made the decision to transition over to IT in 2017. I tried to do it in the military and it didn't work. So I knew that if I wanted to do that, I had to leave the military. So I started making preparation to leave. And in 2018 was when I started doing the preparation on my own. I started to have to do self-studying, but it wasn't until 2019 that I started doing more research. At the beginning of the year, I took my Security Plus. I used Navy Cool. So I was already taking certifications before I even qualified for any of these programs. Before I even got out of the military, I was already qualified 1 year before I got out. And I started looking out and making a plan. And I had already this is back then when you had to contact the employers themselves. SkillBridge didn't have a website for you to go on and register. I had already contacted an employer. I had already secured an internship 5 months before the internship was set to begin. I already did the interview. And so I was set. So by the time my SkillBridge program started and I was getting out of the military, the dominoes were just stacking at that point. Everything was in place. The only thing I had to do was just sit down, absorb the information, reap the benefits of my military, of getting paid and having health care up until the day that I got out. And then it was a very smooth transition over. It basically, the SkillBridge allowed me those last 5 months to only focus on just being accustomed. I didn't have to worry about how am I going to get paid? What am I going to do? My healthcare, what am I going to do about transition? I went, collected my DD 214 and left and went back to work the next day.
Would you say you highly recommend the SkillBridge program?
I not only highly recommend it, I think it should be mandatory, to be completely honest. If military commanders and leadership are not strongly encouraging their subordinates to do it, this is officer and enlisted, then they are not setting their service members up for success. Everybody should be doing this. Even if you are staying in the same field, if you're going from aviation to aviation, the private industry is completely different than the military.
And so some of those tools that you got to learn as you started to study, you utilized the SkillBridge program, and then you went into the tools that you started to learn. And then, what are some of those tools? What are some of those things that can be used from a cybersecurity study tool, or just learning to help some of the active duty service members and veterans to maybe have a leg up on the interview process when they go for these cybersecurity roles?
You're talking about tools that I specifically used for my job, or are you talking about resources that I used to help me transition?
A combination of both. A combination of both.
So one of the tools that I used for transitioning was networking. I don't know if that's really a tool or not, but I reached out to people that I knew that either were previously veterans or are in the field that I want to go into, and I started networking. I networked 2 years before I got out, to the point where I had a mentor. I had a civilian mentor already, and I was already getting the information that I needed. My mentor provided me with more tools that I have also actually provided. I actually have a link on my website where I list out a bunch of tools that military members can take advantage of that want to get into IT. And they include things like the SkillBridge is one, VetTech is another. I know that the MWR library is one of the biggest tools that I use. Free library of ebooks that you can study from, and videos and courses that you can take. There's tons of other tools. Let me see if I can pull them up really, really quick.
You were mentioning some of the pen tester tools.
Yes, pen tester tools. So pen tester tools. So these are tools that Yeah, these are tools that I've been using since probably 6 years before I got out, because I've been into networking and pen testing way before I even made the transition that I wanted. This is all hobby wise stuff, but Nmap, Metasploit, these are all free tools that you can use. Learning Linux, just learning Linux on its own, not Kali Linux, but Linux, Ubuntu, Debian, anything like that is so important. People they fiddle around with this stuff and they put it on their resume and they say, "Oh yeah, Linux, I know Linux," and then they get out and they realize that that there's people like me that use this all day long and
Right.
can navigate it in their sleep, and then they realize that they're at a competitive disadvantage because
Right.
they don't. So I would say these are some of the tools that I use. Virtual machines is another one. Docker is one huge thing. This is something that companies are making a massive transition to, is containers versus virtual machines. And when I caught wind of this a couple of years ago, I immediately started learning it. And now I'm at a point where companies are transitioning over to this. I already know the technology and I already know the information. I'm now an asset. There are companies out there that aren't even using this yet. They don't even know about it.
Now,
So
what was
these are
some of
tools
the
that are
other
important.
tools, Chris? Um, and then, if you like some of the other tools that you were mentioning, you were talking about um, uh, Metaploy and going into those type tools and studies. Can you just do a quick on some of those tools real quick, and then if you could just close with some things that you would like to recommend other active duty service members that are wanting to utilize the skill bridge. Just some final closing words.
Yeah. So you said you wanted me to do what with the tools?
Just name a couple of tools that you're using.
Oh,
Just some of the higher end names that are used on a daily.
yeah. So for paid tools that people might not have access to, there's ones like Burp Suite Professional, Qualys. Those are high end tools that are used at enterprise level. But all these other tools are free to download. They're open source. So Nmap is a huge one. Nmap is used by everyone: networking professionals, security professionals. It's a Swiss Army knife of IT networking. So that's one that I use more than anything. Metasploit is useful, but it's a tool that I use, but I don't heavily rely on because it's automated exploitation. You shouldn't have to. You should still know how to do basic exploitation without the automated stuff. So there's that.
So
Responder is another tool. CrackMac exec is another tool. Hashcat is another tool, but there's so many to go for that I wouldn't be able to name them all off the top of my head. Nmap and Metasploit are the two biggest ones.
awesome. Now we do have a question from one of the guests. They say this right here. Does Chris have a degree or just work experience and certification?
No degree. I am 3 classes short of a degree. I should finish it, but that's on me. I really should finish it, but no, I don't have a degree. I have college experience, but no final product. Certifications. I got my Security Plus before I even left the military. That was what I did to make myself competitive. I knew I needed to have that, but the Security Plus is a minimum requirement. You cannot get Security Plus and expect to get 6-figure jobs. It's not going to happen. You're going to get entry level jobs that are going to pay entry level prices. So, but I knew that that's the first thing I needed to get. And then I got more and more certs. I have about 5 or 6 certs right now. But another thing about certs is I don't go out collecting them like Pokemon cards. That's what people think that you need to have as degrees and certs. You need experience. You're going to get that by doing your own home lab, by having a job is another way to get experience. So what some people do is they'll get stuck on not having something, but having some job, some IT job is better than nothing. So sometimes you might have to take that entry level job and get that experience. But the thing about IT that I've noticed is, and this is the thing about that I want to mention for people in the military, is you don't have to stick with the same employer for like your entire career. I'm now going on to my 3rd employer in 3 years. sometimes the best way to get a promotion or a pay raise is to go to a new job. So don't be afraid to start a job because you need experience. And then once you have that experience, once you get the certs, go somewhere else. In fact, I'm always updating my resume. I hope none of my future employers are listening to this, but I'm always updating my resume as I am working, because you have to. I'm not always looking for jobs, but one day somebody might email me and say, "Hey, we want to pay you this much money to sit on your ass and be a security researcher." And I'm like, "All right, cool. That sounds awesome." And then, you know what I mean? I don't have to work on being marketable. So yeah.
Well, so, Chris, I appreciate you coming on and giving your experience from active duty to utilizing SkillBridge, and then going straight from there. And then, succeeding, overcome, not having a degree, still going from aviation into cybersecurity, and then, getting that role had to be one of the greatest feelings. So and the first opportunity into cybersecurity, and for me to you, vet to vet, man, bravo Zulu. And Chris, thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it, and thank you for your service.
Pleasure.
So Frank, thanks for bringing Chris along for the live event. He made such a dramatic difference in coming in and using his experience. Frank is going through some of the different opportunities. Just to close, in a short, quick close, Frank, can you do that? And then if you could just say any closing words.
Absolutely. Like I said, I'll reiterate our opportunities we had available are marine electronics tech or electrician, and we had a 2 barge service technicians in Louisiana that are the hot ticket items. But as far as other words, it's maintain a positive mindset. When you transition out, it's a little rough because you're going from a very structured environment to a not so structured environment. But and like Chris said, you need to be willing to chase the money. In the old days, employer loyalty was important because you'd get your retirement, you get a pension, and it was a community thing. Now, it's good to be able to stay in a job, but also at the same point, if there's a better opportunity, don't cut yourself short. I mean, other than that, stay safe, guys. Work hard, stay on top of your training, and stay on top of your qualifications. And outside of that, I don't have much else. From vet to vet, thank you guys very much.
So that's for the Live with Josh live event with the opportunities and skills needed. I appreciate everybody coming on and getting an opportunity to see exactly what it is from active duty, SkillBridge to cybersecurity. And I appreciate everything that you do for us. And once again, vet to vet, thank you for your service.